U.S. President Barack Obama is in Manila Monday for a two-day state visit. Obama arrives for an overnight stay with an expanded bilateral agreement meeting on defense and security as his main agenda. In his meeting with President Benigno Aquino, the two leaders discuss issues on trade and security cooperation, among others. We have Natasha Gutierrez on the phone to report on the Obama visit.
For the first time in nearly 11 years, a sitting U.S. president visits the Philippines in an effort by the United States to prove its rebalancing foreign policy to focus in Asia is still intact. As expected, defense and security issues are the main focus of talks between U.S. President Barack Obama and Philippine President Benigno Aquino. Just hours before the visit, the two countries signed the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, a military deal that will give American troops wider access to military bases here. The signing comes amid ongoing tensions between the Philippines and China over disputed territories in the West Philippine Sea. But at the joint press conference after the two countries' bilateral meeting, Obama insists the focus is not on China.
Our goal is not to counter China. Our goal is not to contain China. Our goal is to make sure that international rules and norms are respected. And that includes in the area of maritime disputes.
Obama also says it supports the Philippines' peaceful route to resolve its disputes with China, but he did not say the U.S. would defend the Philippines if it were attacked by China.
We don't even take a specific position on the disputes between nations. But as a matter of international law and international norms, we don't think that coercion and intimidation is the way to manage these disputes.
His statements are seen to be not as strong as the pronouncements he made in Japan, which is also involved in a territorial dispute with China. In Tokyo, Obama vowed to protect Japan if it were attacked by the superpower. Aside from security and defense, the two leaders also promised to partner together to help victims of Typhoon Yolanda and help sustain the country's economic growth. Aquino describes his meeting with Obama.
Our meeting today was comprehensive, historic, and significant, embodying our shared values and aspirations. It accorded President Obama and myself the opportunity to build on the relations between our countries and discuss our strategic vision for the future of the Philippines-United States relationship, a relationship that is modern, mature, and forward-looking, and one that allows us to surpass challenges towards the benefit of our peoples, the entire region, and the world. If at the end of the day, we do want to strive for the prosperity of our respective peoples, that I think has to be the primordial concern rather than disputes on a few rocks that are not possible to be inhabited.
Obama will spend the second day of his trip with Filipino troops at the military headquarters in Taguig and is expected to visit the World War II American Cemetery in the same city before returning to the United States. Back to you, Chai.
Natasha, today is a very, very important day as far as bilateral relations are concerned. There have been reactions to the agreement that was signed today. Senators seem intent on questioning the legality and constitutionality of the EDCA, which was signed between the Philippines and the U.S. What has been Malacanang's reaction, or how is Malacanang handling this situation?
Yes, that's true. We've heard dissenting opinions today. Malacanang has consistently insisted, though, that the agreement is constitutional and that both sides have taken care of making sure of that. The main argument is that the EDCA does not allow additional U.S. bases and will only implement past treaties and deals like the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty or the Visiting Forces Agreement. So this is exactly why Obama emphasized at the joint press conference today that there will be no reopening of bases or creation of new U.S. bases. Instead, and this is what he kept on focusing on, there will only be increased rotational presence of American troops, which America argues has already been ongoing. So the executive has been citing this fact and also mentioning the fact that it took 8 rounds of talks before the countries even reached an agreement, proving that 1, it's not rushed, and 2, that they have made sure all parts of it are legal. Both presidents appeared more careful. Both presidents appeared more careful and cautious about what the contents of the agreement were. Obviously, we don't know yet exactly what's in it, but they obviously did not disclose too much information, but they emphasized on what they needed to, and that was enough to kind of, quell the fears today. And the emphasis really was there are no new U.S. bases. We've heard it several times, and that there's nothing new being introduced here.
Okay, that's an interesting point that you make there. I think a lot of people notice it, that the presidents were a little more careful and a little more cautious in their statements. But do you think this was something that was deliberate, and what effect would this have on the balance of powers in the region?
Absolutely. I absolutely think this is deliberate. If you recall, after Obama's statement in Japan, wherein he vowed support for Japan if it were attacked by China, immediately after, China voiced very strong opposition to his proclamation and said the treaty that Obama based his judgment on is actually one that was formed during the Cold War. In fact, 2 Chinese Coast Guard ships sailed into the waters around the disputed islands of Japan the day after Obama's statement. So you could see that the incredible effect of this one statement Obama made in Japan. So was he more cautious here? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I think Obama surprised the world with his statement in Japan. Obama's categorical comment in Tokyo was actually in contradiction to what the U.S. has consistently been saying, specifically that it does not take sides in territorial disputes. So today we actually heard that again. He said that again. And we saw that message emphasized. He returned to the original messaging of the U.S., and we even heard him say that the focus is not to support intimidation and coercion. And he stuck with that today, understandably. We don't want to see any ships coming in the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea tomorrow, and I don't think you have to worry about that. And as for the effect of the agreement on regional powers, Aquino himself says there is no reason for China to feel threatened. Again, we hear a more cautious Aquino. We heard a more cautious Aquino today. He also admitted the Philippines is not a military threat to any country. Even Obama, as we heard earlier, insisted the agreement is not about Japan. So the effect of this is actually quite tricky, but I think the more important thing to look at right now is that this agreement is beneficial for both the U.S. and the Philippines. One, the U.S. wants to have a bigger presence in Asia. It will achieve that through this agreement, and at the same time, the Philippines gets what it wants. It wants support to at least modernize its defense, and so we see that, and definitely. It's something that China is keeping an eye on, but is China threatened? I think that by sailing 2 Coast Guard ships in Japan the day after Obama's statement, they're saying, wait a minute, we're not threatened, this is our power, and kind of exerting it.
Okay, I'd like to shift now to something light. I think we had a state dinner, or I don't know if it's still ongoing at this time. What was the overall mood? Could you describe to us what people were talking about, and how did they look like?
Well, the state visit today was actually quite refreshing. It was still formal. Obviously, everybody came in their best attire. Most Filipino guests came in national costume, either Filipiniana or barong. Everyone looked very good. In fact, President Obama himself even mentioned that. He told the men they all looked good, but that the women outshone them. Mm-hmm. So we saw tonight a more casual Obama, which was quite refreshing since, we only saw a very formal attitude today. But tonight, he really charmed the guests at the state visit. He used Filipino words and greetings. He said magandang gabi. He used the word kalooban, and saying that the Philippines and the U.S. have a shared kalooban or spirit in its common interests. And those common interests he mentioned were an obsession with basketball, Manny Pacquiao, and the pride they have for Filipino Americans. So it was quite nice to see, one of the most powerful leaders in the world kind of praise the Philippines. He even hailed the victims of Typhoon Yolanda for their strength and determination. We saw a more casual side of him, and he said that he enjoyed this visit very much and that it left a mark on him. So this is a great end to what has been a very busy day, and his praise for the Philippines and their warmth and hospitality, I think, would also, make the president and Filipinos feel good for the fact that President Obama was able to notice this and recognize this.
Okay, just looking at that video, I think a lot of people noticed that the president toasted with water. Why is that?
Well, actually, one thing maybe that a lot of people might not know about the president is the president does not drink. He actually is allergic to alcohol. He smokes, but he does not drink. So that is probably the reason why he was holding water tonight in the toast.
Thank you very much. That was Natasha Gutierrez reporting from Malacanang.